Hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. We are currently live right now. 6-game slate on a Sunday was just hours ago, literally hours ago in Texas. What a thing Airbuses are, huh? The big old bus in the sky got us here back. What's going on? How you doing? We're going to break it down. Not even break it down. We already did that this morning. 6-game slate, but really nothing has changed outside of the news that Terrence Ross is now expected to be in. So I guess nothing has changed is wrong because stuff has changed. You're going to be getting Chase and Randall now really not in play. You're going to be getting guys like Michael Carter-Williams not looking as good. Michael Carter-Williams now no longer one of the top 12 plays like he was to start the day this morning. We just pushed that update through on Patreon, so you should be seeing it for all the patrons in the room right now. But yeah, Michael Carter-Williams has now dropped outside the top 12. He currently sits as my number 27 play, so a pretty big drop-off for him. But yeah, we still have some interesting names up top. Top 12 plays, you're going to see some guys in there, and we'll talk about some, like from Chicago today, Valentine and Tomas Satoransky. I didn't put those guys in the video this morning because, they're projecting out for under 20 points. Same thing for guys like Jake Layman. Like these are guys that point per dollar wise are looking good because they're almost the flat minimum. They're 32 and 3,300, right? They're not projecting out for 20 plus points. They're projecting out for under 20. So they're not usually somebody I add unless it's like a 2 or 3 game slate, because I usually personally don't get to them or have them as yeses. Terrence Davis somewhat falls into that category as well for me, as he's grading out as a top 10 play, but barely projecting out for over 20 points at not even in the 3K range. He's now in the $4,000 range. But what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Ready to be schmacked around? We haven't been live. I didn't expect to go live today, but timing just, I guess, worked out. But we have not been live since Wednesday. So got a date earlier on that. We've been putting the videos out from the girlfriend's parents' garage these last couple of days. It's actually a pretty easy and seamless setup, honestly. So it worked well. We got Andre in the chat already putting in. Yeah, so be sure to like, subscribe, do those things. We can talk about prize picks a little bit later on now that we have some updated prize pick props to be talking through. It'd be interesting stuff to maybe build out another prop before some of these. Obviously, the Sixers game is about to start. Or 6:30, that one will start. But some of the other games. I see that Andre Brown's in the chat. He says, Marcus Smart or Kevin Love. So choosing between one of those fellas. Today, yeah. He says on DK with all the devil faces. Man, I don't want either of those guys. So Kevin Love in the last game yesterday, he played 10 minutes. They said he's on a strict 10-minute limit. I have Kevin Love today projected. I'll take Marcus Smart. If they were both fully healthy and you knew you were going to get their main minutes, 30 minutes apiece out of them, I would take Kevin Love. But Marcus Smart's at least playing in the 20 minutes. I have Kevin Love projected for 16 minutes right now, unless we get any other news. They had him on a strict 10-minute limit in that last game. They put him in for literally 2.5 minutes per quarter to start each quarter, took him out, and bam, what do you know? He played 10 minutes on the dot. But what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you all being in here right now. Yeah, fun, long weekend. Applied for a new apartment, so that's fun. Potentially Texas-bound in 2 months if all goes well. Max all the way right in the chat early on. He says, well, Sal, thought you were on an Airbus. My guy getting in an unexpected stream. Yeah, exactly that. Was on an Airbus. Literally got off of the plane and was in the airport about an hour ago. I'm here for it, my man. Hope the trip went well. Thanks, man. Yeah, the good fella. The good fella show is back. Yes, shout out to my grandma. Shout out your grandma. Dalaruski says, Bryce. What's up, Bryce? Bryce. How you doing, man? We're back. The Sal Avengers says, Dad Ferrari in the chat. Oh, I said Ferrari. That's probably not how you pronounce your last name at all. Good evening, fellas. Sal's back. Dalaruski time. Let's get it. Best scrub to pay down for DK GPP today. Best scrub to pay down for? I assume you're saying all the way at the bottom right now. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be coming down in that 3K range. There's not much. It'll probably come down between, I'll probably say Tomas Satoransky. No, now knowing that we know he's starting, we don't have any other news if this is just disciplinary reasons for Kobe White and Wendell Carter, or if it's just, Carter's been terrible lately. White hasn't been great, but he hasn't been as bad as Carter these last 5 or 6 games. So Tomas Satoransky joining the starting rotation, he would be the scrub that I like the most right now at 3,200. His teammate Denzel Valentine gets there more from production than minutes. But I'm not considering Kevin Porter Jr. a scrub at $5,000. But he's the best play in the slate. You're going to see probably on a 6-game slate, he'll be the highest owned. I assume that it'll be above 35%. It'll probably touch 40%. Like he'll probably be like 42% on today. Somewhere around there is my guess on a 6-game slate. If this was like a 10-game slate, you get the luck of there being more players, not the luck, the benefit. And then he's only like 30% on. But Tomas Satoransky, probably your best punt play today. But if you take into account if Tomas Satoransky is going to be pretty highly owned, and you want to leverage him, like I have Tomas Satoransky right now for basically like the same amount of points, 19 and change, as his teammate Denzel Valentine. Valentine's only $100 more. So Valentine, if he's going to be like half the ownership as Tomas Satoransky today, which since he's not starting, I assume that's going to be the case, there's a potential pivot there. But obviously getting those starter minutes secured, probably closing run for Tomas Satoransky. That's actually not true. It could be Kobe White. But at least getting those starting minutes secured, so now you know he's going to get probably 24 plus, is pretty powerful. What's up? What's happening? Yeah, Brown and Powell or Butler and Ball today is the question in the chat. Jaylen Brown and Powell. I'll go Butler and Ball there. Butler and Lonzo for me there. Brown and Powell is not a terrible option, but I think the ceiling on Butler, the security in Ball to get you, your 32, 33 minutes. We can pull up what I currently have projected for New Orleans minutes. We'll also run some crunches. So we'll run some stuff with the optimizer that you can see in here. So I'll include all the players right now. So this is just a big energy optimizer. You can't see the entire thing on the screen right now just from the way that I have the screen cut. But we'll just try and run some stuff through here. So let's just let's build a new build, and we'll just let this run 20 lineups just for now. And we'll just put 15 randomness. Let's go with 2 uniques on this slate. Let's actually go 17 randomness. I don't have any rules in yet. Obviously, I'm going to be adding those. I have like a file with a bunch of rules that I'll be putting into there. But wow, look at that. That's how quick this thing just loaded. Man, this optimizer is fucking getting better and better. So let's see. Let's see what some of these highest projected lineups are popping out right now for us. We got, so we can look here. So like right now, this is including the 2 p.m. slate. Let's just get to the main slate, the 7 p.m. slate for tonight, and then we can recrunch. So yeah, I'm gonna answer other questions. I see some more coming in, which is good. I just want to get this optimizer chooching out some lineups just so we can talk about them in a second. There we go. Guard 4.9K and below today. A guard at 4.9K and below, you're going to have some troubles there is what I'm going to say to you. 4.9K and below, I believe Gary Trent is still shooting guard eligible, correct? If not, DeAndre Bembry at $4,400, but none of these guys look great. None of these guys looks great at all, but at least you're not going to be picking up that ownership on Bembry like you have been the last couple of games. Loving the surprise Sunday stream, says Crash and Bird. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. Welcome in. Norman Powell, priority play for you. Yeah, this morning he was yet again in the top 12 overall plays. He currently sits for me as my number 8 overall play as of right now. So priority play, he's one of my top 15 plays, top 10 plays. Not a priority play, though. I would say there's like usually 2 to 3 at most priority plays on a slate for me. The rest kind of filter themselves out. Now, sometimes it's like 4, right? But for the most part, 2 or 3. He's not one of those 2 or 3. Kevin Porter Jr. would be one of those 2 or 3 today. And then a combination of these like 9K guys in the slate. Lillard's also in that group to an extent, but the combination of these Karl Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butlers, Trae Youngs, those types of guys, right? Paul George's. It would be really easy to say that Paul George is my like second priority play, but you have Kyle Lowry lingering around a similar price point, right? You have Victor Oladipo, so like none of those guys are standouts in their price range. And then once you start to factor in ownership, some things can get a little bit different there, but then you start to see like, oh, Paul George and Karl Anthony Towns and these guys are pretty similarly owned. That's when I start to look towards guys who probably come in with what I would consider uncharacteristically low ownership today. Like 2 games out of Kevin Porter Jr. Look, I love Kevin Porter Jr. I liked him before when he was on a Cav. I liked the stuff I was hearing for him this year. They were expecting Kevin Porter Jr. to play a lot of point guard, right? Colin Sexton's out there. Imagine if Kevin Porter Jr. was playing point guard right now. I'm on the Cavs, not just because of what he's done these last 2 games, but just in general. It's an interesting team dynamic. If you think about the young guns that they have there, with Garland and with Sexton and Kevin Porter Jr. all on the court at the same time. Obviously, didn't be the case. But look, everybody's seen what he's done the last 2 games, and they're jumping up and down. Victor Oladipo is still on this team. Victor Oladipo was not there for the one game that Kevin Porter Jr. went off, and the other game he was, and he scored 58 fantasy points. Oladipo is going to probably be like 10% owned today. And that's when I start to not prioritize him as like my favorite play in the slate, but start to look at, okay, if Oladipo is going to come in with half or a third of the ownership as Paul George is the cover boy of this live stream, but similar price range, similar projection in my stuff right now. Like I have Paul George for 45.1 points, and I have Oladipo for 43.4, right? So that's not that big of a difference. It's less than around 2 points of a difference, right around 2 points of a difference. So for a third of the ownership, yeah, that's a spot where you can leverage. That doesn't have to be the spot that you leverage. You can play both of them, right? You can play both of them. You can play Paul George and not Victor Oladipo, but that's just kind of an example of not so much of a priority, but like the process that I go through. Yes, Kevin Porter Jr. is a priority for me today. Kevin Porter Jr. doesn't have to score 50 for him to pay off. He can score my projection on him, which is like 34, 35 today, and Oladipo can still score 50 plus at that, right? Fellas says Herbie. Herbie, what's up? How you doing? How you doing, Poppy? How you guys all celebrating your National Daylight Savings Day? I forgot that was happening, and I woke up this morning to do that video after having a later night last night. I think it ended up being like 3.5 hours of sleep. My body hated me. We got 100 people in on this surprise Sunday live stream. I appreciate all you tuning in. Like, subscribe, do those things. Let me know in the chat how you feeling, how you doing. We got some people right here. Evan in the chat says, Nance and Zion or Thad Young and Ingram. I'll take Nance and Zion there. Actually, scratch that. Assuming that Kevin Love does indeed play today, even if it is like this 15 minutes, I'll take Thad Young and Ingram. If Love was to be out, then Nance. But yeah, I'll take Thad Young and Ingram. Cantor and Cat in the same lineup, cool with you? Yeah, I think that two centers makes a lot of sense on this slate. I think that two centers makes a lot of sense because of specifically those guys. If you wanted to get to Nikola Vucevic, I don't think he looks, it's not dramatic, but ceiling-wise as good now. Terrence Ross appears to be back and probably appears to be just like a full go. But yeah, I think because of those two centers make sense in this slate. Also, you can kind of group in Clint Capella, Kelly Olynyk to an extent. I'm not only center eligible, but those types of guys. I'm trying the SuperDraft platform for the first time. Is Kevin Porter Jr. a play on SuperDraft tonight? Yeah, but it's going on P10. Yeah, so if anybody wants to try out SuperDraft, as always, you can. If you want to use the code SAL, you get yourself a little bit of a bonus signing up. Kevin Porter Jr. right now in SuperDraft, for me, does not grade out as well on SuperDraft. He's in play, though, but he's my number 22 play projection-wise on SuperDraft. His multiplier, they shot down pretty quickly. Like, it's not at 1.75 anymore. It's at 1.4x multiplier. So they're basically, like, projecting him to be a similar player now to, like, Enes Kanter, to Colin Sexton, which could be fair for, like, the price point. I would say not as fair with Kanter, just because of the opportunity cost at center. But, yeah, with Victor Oladipo back, I'll say he's not anywhere near a priority. He's outside my top 20. Sal, could you talk some more about SuperDraft plays that are popping for you today? Yeah, so Colin Sexton looks like the best play today at a 1.45x multiplier in SuperDraft. It's not dramatic, though. There's like 4 guys kind of in their own high projection tier for me. He's one of them. We have all the SuperDraft projections ranks, the optimizer, which should be finished crunching right now. You can check it all out if you want to on Patreon. I can link it up now. Bundling in this optimizer starting in March has seemed to be very nice. But yeah, Lowry, 1.25x still looks good. Kanter, I discussed it already in the video this morning, that Kanter looks like a priority at the center position on SuperDraft today. You obviously still have Vooch getting a ridiculous multiplier. Like, he should be a 1x guy at this point, especially on this type of a slate, but he's not quite there yet. But yeah, Kanter would be another option. So just scrolling down through some of these lineups right now. Let me actually text the guy. I just had an idea for the optimizer that just came to mind. Alrighty. There we go. Cool. Just had an idea to pop into my mind. I'm late to the party, Sal. What did I miss? Hope you had a great weekend. Had a great weekend. Yeah. No, we're just answering questions, my man. You're perfectly on time. But those are some of the options. I mean, Michael Carter-Williams still looks good on SuperDraft. Not as good now with Terrence Ross back. He looked like arguably the best play in the slate. But they're just giving him, he's a starting point guard, right? He's a starting point guard playing around 30 minutes on a team where he averages a fantasy point per minute right now when Fournier's not on the court, Aaron Gordon's not on the court, and they're giving him a 1.8x multiplier. Like a 1.8x multiplier, you want to know what that compares to on this slate? That compares to guys like Jake Layman, Nicholas Batum, Okoro from the rookie from the Cavs, who's not great in fantasy, Peyton Pritchard, right? They're projecting him, Kem Birch, they're projecting him as if he's a backup, not going to be all that. I'm giving him a multiplier as if he's not going to be all that involved when clearly he is. PG and Cat seem like nice upside options, right, at current prices on DK. Yeah, if you were playing cash today, PG and Cat is one of the stronger starting points that you can go to, in my opinion. I mean, they're both going to be probably close to 30% owned, so I'm fine getting to them. I think there's ways to get different in all price ranges today, and ways to get like extremely different with a lot of upside. Like, you can play Anthony Edwards at probably 8% owned today. He just continues to crush. You'll probably get Zach LaVine at like 5% owned. You'll probably get Oladipo at like 10% owned. Olynyk, who was a top 12 play for us, is not going to be owned because of just the positionality today. It's people prioritizing some other spots. The upside thing about a guy like PG is he fills that shooting guard spot, but that's why you can get to guys like Oladipo as pretty decent options. That's why you can get to guys like Sexton and Michael Carter, who still look like okay options today. Oladipo's an intriguing play at 8,400. I will say Paul George is the better play today, but when you factor in ownership, he becomes very, very appealing. Did you see Trey Capella move to game time decision? Could open up some crazy Hawks value. I saw that. Let me see what I saw. I saw Hero had the questionable tag before I came on, and then I saw earlier game time decisions, and no, so I'm just seeing that right now. So yeah, I saw Hero the questionable tag. I'm just seeing that stuff. Yeah, that could open. I mean, if Capella misses, whatever, right? I mean, clearly value is going to open up. It's going to be great. But if Trey misses, like, that's where like the usage just blows up for so many different people. It's Rondo night. Sal, join Patreon this week and already cashed, says D Burkhardt. Let's go. So let's look at some of these top projected lineups here. So we got one that's at 283. We crunched out about 20 lineups. So let's look at this one. Then we can look at some of these exposures. So this is a lineup that I just crunched the optimizer, the big energy optimizer, if you will. We can talk through this as I answer some questions. Fellas, let's get those dollar rooskies. Let's do it, my man. Let's do it. Ingram and Collins or Butler and Tice? And I'll go with Ingrams and Collins. Must play guard in Superdraft other than Sexton today. A must play guard, there's not, like, he's not a must-play guard because Sexton, Lowry, Lillard, Ross, Michael Porter, Trae Young, like all these guys look very similar to me. Couple points off here and there for some of them, but those are like kind of all in that same tier 1, tier 2. Do you have any yeses players in the 3 to 4K range? Who will be the most owned in that range? You're going to be getting Tomas Satoransky being the most owned in that range by far. No guys in the 3 or 4K. No guys in that below 4K range are yeses for me today. Satoransky, Denzel Valentine, Jake Layman are in a player pool for me. None of them are yeses. You can check out the yeses down below if you want to see them all. But here's a lineup that I just crunched out. Obviously, this is not going to be a lineup that stands the test of time, in my opinion, just based on potential news. Now, maybe no news will come out. It's very rare in the NBA that no lineups, guys in the starting rotation are different, or just injuries, of course. But this is an interesting lineup because you're getting 3 studs in this lineup, right? And Enes Kanter. So this is just going for like extreme value. It's giving you Damian Lillard, Paul George, Jimmy Butler. So this is like the definition of stars and scrubs. But what it's doing is it's taking Kevin Porter, a stud that's priced as an average player, Tomas Satoransky, and then that Denzel Valentine. Valentine's going to get you different today. He'll probably be single-digit owned. Get you to Kanter, get you to Layman, so it's giving you a lot of value. I really don't want these 3 guys in one lineup, though, right? I don't want Valentine, Tomas Satoransky, and Layman in one lineup. They're the 3 values that will be kind of the options for me, but I don't want them all in one lineup. So that can be a rule that I set, or just increasing general randomness will probably change that, or even reducing it probably will give it a better chance at changing it. Lowry or Depot today? Factoring in ownership, let's see. So them 1v1 today, if I factor in the ownership on it, projection-wise, it's going to be very close. So I currently have Kyle Lowry at 46.1. I have Lowry as the better play today. Ownership, Lowry will probably be twice his own, but I'll go Lowry still. Fellas, if you aren't signed up for Sal's Patreon, you aren't taking advantage of all the tools Sal gives you to get those dollar rooskies. Yeah. There's one of them right here. Just trying to go through some of these lineups and just see, like, trying to get an idea, because I haven't built my signature yet. Trying to get an idea of like what the slate's going to be looking like lineup construction wise if we try and get different by leveraging ownership and leveraging some randomness. So this one's putting Goran Dragic in there. That'll probably become more of a priority if Hero gets ruled out. Interesting lineups. Interesting. This one's appealing to me because Michael Carter is going to be low owned. Eric Bledsoe is going to be low owned. Denzel Valentine will be somewhat low owned. Lauri Markkanen will be low owned. This is a very appealing lineup. The 2 studs it's giving you are Trae Young and Karl Anthony Towns. And Trae Young doesn't seem like he's the odd man out right now. Obviously, this game time decision is going to be halting him. But if he plays today with that game time decision, he'll probably be like 12% owned. He was already coming at like 15% owned. So this is a very low owned lineup. Olynyk coming in low owned. This is probably too low owned, to be honest with you. In terms of like you can just go up somewhere else. So let's do a new build and let's change the randomness on this. So let's put randomness to 14 and see what happens. And let's go 3 uniques, randomness 14. We'll put the full max salary as that's fine. Cool. Actually, I wanted to change one more thing. We'll change the max players from 1 team to 3 as well. Actually, let's just put it to 2 and see what happens, because there's not a ton of value from like one specific team right now. 2 is probably not something I'll roll with, but let's just do that for now and see what happens. And then we can run through some more looks. Live show on a Sunday. Wasn't expecting that. Me neither. I got off an airplane at like 4:30 p.m. East Coast time. So me neither. Are these DK lineups, says Felix? Yeah, I'm using our optimizer on Patreon. So none of them are like they're not the lineups I'm playing right now. I still haven't set my rules. So they're going to be maybe not wildly different because it's still the same projections and general rules, but I haven't set my specific rules for like groups, right? Which we can get in the weeds with that, only getting a certain amount of players from each team. If I have this guy, only give me one of this guy, things like that. Is Tice a good power forward play today? Not for me, really. Thoughts on Batum? No interest at all. Cheap shooting guard options today. Let me actually pull up DraftKings like specific positionality, so I know which guys are only point guard eligible, because I know there's a good amount of those. But there's a lot of guys today that are strong. Michael Carter-Williams isn't cheap, but early on we had more interest once Terrence Ross was expected to maybe not play, or at least was questionable. Now he's probable. We had some interest in guys like him, because shooting guard eligibility really opens up a lot for you. That's why Paul George looks so good today. So let's just go to the cheap shooting guard options. My guess is not many. Like Market Carter Williams at 5,900, sure. If you see Tyler Hero go out, that can open up some stuff for you. But now you're quickly going down. Like the best play on the slate is Kevin Porter Jr. The ownership will say that, but that's just a spot where you eat the ownership, right? So he is the best cheap shooting guard option today. The more you go down, the worse it gets. Dwayne Bacon was okay until Terrence Ross came back in. And then there's really nothing. There's nothing in the 4K range at all. Like Duncan Robinson, you could always just throw something on it. I think Gary Trent's actually fine. I prefer Kevin Porter Jr. though. But yeah, not much after that. Denzel Valentine is a cheap one that I think is, it's between him and it would have probably been Randall if he didn't have Terrence Ross. So Denzel Valentine, the cheapest shooting guard that I would go to. I honestly didn't even know that they were listing Denzel Valentine as a shooting guard. I'm looking at this right now. So Denzel Valentine, the cheapest shooting guard I would go to, but I think that Kevin Porter and Gary Trent Jr., both the juniors, are better. Justin Thomas, baby. Yeah, what'd he do? What's the update on Thomas? We got the 20-1 number on Thomas. We had Paul Casey lingering 3 shots back at one point pretty recently. I haven't checked the Golf since we've gone live. Let's see. So what did JT just do? Lee Westwood ended up... so Thomas is going to end on a birdie, or did he just end on a par? He's going to end on a par. So he's going to finish 2 shots ahead with Lee Westwood and Bryson coming down to their final hole. Nice. Yeah, Lee Westwood went for bogey on 17. You love to see that. Bryson ended up coming down. He ended up getting an eagle on 16. If he didn't top the ball, it'd probably be him and JT right now looking for a playoff. So Bryson has to go. I mean, yeah, he can't. He has to literally, he has to eagle from fucking 200-something yards out right now probably. So it's looking like JT is about to win it. So we've now won 4 out of the last 6 weeks golf outrights. That's a hot streak if I say so myself. Nice. Shout out JT. You still have any love for Martin? Let me see where I have him at right now. Let me see where I have Martin at right now. Yeah, I think that, well, let me pull this up. Yeah, I think that it's going to be like the same quote-unquote love, right? Like, I wouldn't classify what I was discussing in today's video earlier as love, but it's, if the same scenario continues to happen, he's going to continue to be well. But does the same scenario happen where he continues to close off the bench, right? Trying to rely on guys off the bench is never something that I really like to do, especially if you're like an unproven type of a player. But yeah, I have the same feelings as Martin as this morning, right? There's been no other news from Houston for me to change those feelings. The projections were done when I was doing the video this morning, or at least the like 75% of them were done. Alrighty, so it looks like JT is going to win this thing. Another one. Another outright 4 to 6 cashing in golf. If you're not watching the golf video each week, the golf betting video and or the golf DFS video, literally been crushing it. Deep pockets. Fellas, smack that like button and get some big energy popping on this live stream. We like that. Welcome back. Thank you. Any love? Any Tony Bradley love? Yeah, I'm not playing that. Is it just a showdown slate, right? Is that, they didn't include that? I was surprised they didn't include that Sixers game. So I haven't looked into it at all right now. I heard Taysom Hill got a pretty big extension. If I'm looking at some of this trending news correctly, Drew Brees announces his retirement from the NFL. What do we got? What's the good values for today? I'm playing catch up. Yeah, what's going on, Savage X Plus? Good values. Kevin Porter Jr. at 5K, best play in the slate. He's going to be the highest owned by a lot, but you just play it in my opinion. But good values after that. Let's pull up some stuff. We'll pull up some more of these lineups. But good values, there's really none after that. There's really none. Like Tomas Satoransky, he'll be highly owned. He's starting today for Chicago over Kevin Porter, or not over Kevin Porter, over Kobe White. White's not out. He's just getting benched, I guess. Haven't seen anything for disciplinary or anything like that. But yeah, it's going to be something to Denzel Valentine. Like these guys that look like the good values, if you're looking at guys under 4K, they're all projecting out for like less than 20 fantasy points. So like Tomas Satoransky, Denzel Valentine, I guess you can rotate through them. There's not that much expensive players today. Like playing $9,100 Cat or $9,400 Jimmy Butler today is like your stud. Like, yeah, you don't have to go into the 3K range. You can if you want to. If you want to get 3 of those guys, sure. But you don't have to go into the 3K range when you have pretty quality options. Like, in my opinion, a low-owned Kelly Olynyk, Kevin Porter Jr., some guys in that mid-range that really, really stand out. And is Cantor in the 6K range now. So And it's Cantor. Somebody asked me earlier about my priorities. It's Kevin Porter Jr., but just the way that Cantor is priced for the slate, like it's hard for him not to get in a lot of my lineups. I'm not sure if I'll prioritize him in single entry with Cat also on the slate. I don't know how that's going to work out with the two of them, but man, he's just in a lot of my lineups. So let's look at some of these lineups now, just changing some of the rules here. So here's the lineup that we ended up just crunching to the left. It's projecting out for 280 points exactly right now. It's Tomas Satoransky. There's your value. Paul George, Norman Powell. Powell's like average on he'll probably be like 14, 12% on today. Kevin Porter, Cantor. John Collins is the spot that you get a little bit different with the power forward. Karl Anthony Towns, and then Aminu. So Aminu is the value option that you're punting with. I don't like that as much now with Terrence Ross back, but obviously it's to make the lineup work together. You just needed a guy at 3,900. Kind of tempted to switch him out with like a Jake Layman there. Boucher love. Yeah, Boucher's fine. I mean, the price point's now up to a spot where he's not overpriced by any means for what his ceiling is, but it's just kind of fine at this point compared to just give me Cantor. Give me Cantor, who's now cheaper. Depot and Valentine, or George and Layman? I'll take Depot and Valentine. They're going to both be low owned. And in my opinion, both have similar to higher ceilings. Any news on Ice Tray? I have him on some of my lineups. No news as of right now, no. Lou Will, a good option with Pat Bev out. So this is some of the optimizer stuff. You guys want to check it out, you can check it out down below. We can look at more lineups in a second. Let's just start to look at some of these minutes projections for some of these teams. So this is Orlando now. So Orlando's on the screen. This is now a Terrence Ross projected in, and I have him projecting to play 34 minutes. So you can see some of the stuff that happens there with the minutes. Obviously, some of these guys are now not going to be looking anywhere near as good as they once did. Justin Thomas, yes. Thanks, Sal. Welcome back. Thanks. Sal, how was the trip? Says Skylar. It was good. It was very good. Highly, highly enjoyable. What's Thad Young's ceiling in the 40s? I mean, Thad Young's ceiling is 50 points, right? But his like top 10 percentile ceiling, not his like top 5 or top 1 percentile ceiling. His top 10, I would say, is like around today, 44 fantasy points. How do you feel about Thad Young today? Yeah, I think he looks okay. I'm not really projecting Thad Young for a massively increased role, to be honest with you, though. So I know a lot of people are like just expecting Thad Young to now like take over for a pretty massive role. I'm not sure I'm there yet. On Thad Young's just like in general minutes. I know he's starting today. He's starting at center, which clearly gives him a pretty big leg up on everybody else. I've got Thad Young he's a yes. He's one of my yeses. I got him for like right around 30 fantasy points today. I'm not quite comfortable giving Thad Young just like a 34 minutes. And it seems like a lot of the field is because Thad Young is going to be one of the more popular plays today. Makes sense. He's starting at center on a slate that's got a lot of really good center options. But I think I can go elsewhere, to be honest with you. Thad Young's going to crush at center. It just comes down to the minutes that he's going to play. I have him at 26 minutes right now. If you think he plays 30 or 32 minutes today, Thad Young, but yeah, then he's going to smash. I just don't know if I'm quite sold that Wendell Carter is now just going to play 20 minutes, right? Or that they're going to just like take out of the rotation a guy like a Denzel Valentine or an Otto Porter just gets like 6 minutes, right? That would be like my concern, I guess. Like Thad Young's going to be definitely top 10, probably top 5 owned player today. Or 5 might be high, but right around that range is what I can tell you. And that's with people just expecting him to now walk into 30 or 32 minutes. I'm not sure I buy that yet. I have Thad Young at 26 minutes. If I put Thad Young to 28 minutes, yeah, he's going to start to look like a priority. Give him 30, he's going to start to look like the Kevin Porter Jr. type of best play in the slate. I have him as a yes. I'm going to get a good amount. I don't think I'm going to play him in single entry or 3 max, but I do think that I'll have. What do I have? Let's see what I got in this. This was just a 20 max crunch just to play around early on, but I got Thad Young in 20% of my lineup, so that's not bad. But I'm probably going to be below the field on that. I think Thad Young will probably be like 25% on today, just based on everything I've been seeing in the industry. Hernan Gomez, any thoughts? No interest. Bogdan, a decent value play? No, you're not going to get the minutes out of Bogdan. I mean, if you get Trae Young out. Was there any news or anything like Trae Young being ruled out in the past couple of moments? I don't think so. I see no news on that. KJ Martin, good value still. He's okay. That's like all I'll say there. There's really, he's not great. He's okay. Hey, Sal, what are your thoughts on Kevin Porter Jr. tonight? Be that Oladipo's back. I like them both. I think Kevin Porter Jr., he scored 42 points with Oladipo 2 games ago, right, with no John Wall. I think Kevin Porter Jr. is $1,500 on the price for what his role will be normally today. I have Kevin Porter Jr. for 35 points. Sal, what's your thoughts on Kyle Lowry for DraftKings? I continue to like Kyle Lowry. I think I continue to like Kyle Lowry at this point. Drew Brees announcing retirement. There you go. Yeah, I mean, Lowry keeps either not shooting well or the assist percentage drops or blowout ensues, right? And he just doesn't get the run like that last game, the blowout ensued. So one of these games, he's going to not shoot 25% and he's going to get his normal minutes. When that happens, he's going to consistently drop 50 points. He's 8,600 though, so he's not like the priority for me. Like I currently prefer Norman Powell more from his own team. I prefer in that upper range of salaried guys, Paul George, Karl Anthony Towns, right? Even probably Butler, but he's right around there. Sal, I'm a beginner, only won like 200 maybe total. I usually aim to go to 2 to 3 studs plus value using you. Also, I'm on DK articles to guide. My opponents keep killing me with the hidden gems. There you go, my man. There you go. Ice Trey's game time decision. Correct. Favorite super draft plays. Michael Carter Williams, question mark. Not as good of a play now. I'll pull up Orlando's minutes yet again. Now, so Terrence Ross is in. I'm giving him 34 minutes. Not as good of a play for Michael Carter Williams' overall point per minute production. He'll go from like a 1.1 guy for me to like a one fantasy point per minute guy. Super draft plays today. Yeah, I mean, the guards, super draft's a pretty heavy slate, and I think your biggest decision comes down to center. Like, there's a lot of good guards, but between Nikola Vucevic, Kanter, and that's probably it. Like, you can maybe say Towns at 1.05x, but I think your ceilings are higher with Kanter at 1.45x and Vooch. I normally lean when guys are closely projected like that to go to the Kanter, but to the Kanter type players with the higher multipliers. So that's kind of my tiebreaker. Guys like Sexton, Kanter stand out. And then there's just a bunch of guys who look very good, like Michael Carter Williams and Terrence Ross's multipliers. Ross, because of that game time decision or the questionable tag all day, might not get as much credit as he deserves as a 1.65x guy, projecting out for a good amount of points. Hidden gems and low ownership that go off of with only 1 or 2 sometimes studs. How do I get better at not following the ownership waves and finding the hidden gems? Well, one, if you can have the means to get access to ownership, that's your best way, right? You can just get away from them. Otherwise, you're kind of going blind or like relying on shows like this, which happy to help as much as we can. But yeah, I mean, it's just about doing it. I mean, ownership is just a mental thing. It's just herd mentality. If you ever read the books, like The Wisdoms of Crowds or Herd Mentality, those books literally just say that it's like, it's a pain point. It's like, actually, it's the same reaction of pain, like the same reaction of like when you pay with cash for something, you're like exchanging and losing your money, if you will. When you actually have pain, the psychological point of like going against the crowd. So when you're watching my stream, we're watching Awesome streams and people are talking about the same guys that they like and they're highly owned, and then other people are saying, don't play them, but they're highly owned, so they must be the good plays, and this guy himself said that he likes him, right? I want to play him, right? That's just herd mentality, right? It's going with the crowd, and at that point it becomes very difficult to get off of them. So I mean, me personally, I make my own tools and all that, and I don't watch any other content in the industry when it comes to NBA DFS. It's like the last thing I want to do when I'm creating so much of it myself and updating tools and stuff like that. Like, there's no need for me to get any other noise in my head personally. If I found something valuable out there, I would use it, but I personally don't, just because I have all the other tools here that are needed. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is then for you on that one. I would say use tools. At the end of the day, use tools and just understand what's happening. Like, when you have a pain point of getting away from a guy, especially low-priced, shitty value, like Tomas Satoransky tonight. I like Tomas Satoransky. I played him so much as a wizard. There's a couple triple-doubles he had that I got him on. But yes, he's starting tonight. Yes, maybe he'll play 30 minutes. Maybe he'll play 28, right? Whatever he plays. He's 3,200, so he looks great, but he's playing alongside higher usage players now, like Laurie, like Thad Young, like obviously Zach LaVine. If he's going to be one of the highest owned guys tonight because he's 3,200 and I have him projecting out for less than 20 points, I can just fade that, right? Now, my 150 max, I'm going to have Tomas Satoransky. Am I single entry tonight? I will not, right? Tomas Satoransky, I have 55%. Well, this is a 20 max lineup, so 55% of Tomas Satoransky is like 11 lineups out of 20, so that's not that crazy. But I'm getting a lot of him in that. Why? Because he's projecting out well and he's cheap. But in single entry, no, that's going to be an active fade for me. Thanks, Sal. Your content is great. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I'm saying I keep getting beat by people with hidden gems, the low ownership plays. How do I go for better scouting of these players? Might cop your optimizer if it helps with that. Yeah, so better scouting of these plays is, this is the exact example today. Paul George versus Victor Oladipo, right? Victor Oladipo for me is projecting out for like 1.9 less points than Paul George, and Paul George is triple the ownership. They both to me have very similar ceilings. They both to me have similar minutes projections today, in that mid-30s range. So if I need to get different in one spot and find the quote-unquote hidden gem, Victor Oladipo is going to be 10% owned today. Paul George in some contests is going to be 30% owned. So I'll just play Victor Oladipo, right? Yes, Paul George projects out for 1.9 more points. But if everybody is on Paul George today because of that, and I like him too, he's projecting as one of my top plays. He's the cover boy of this live stream. He is on a lot of what I'm going to be doing in my 150 maxes, but in the single entry and 3 max, the spots where I want to get leverage in smaller field contests, that's a spot where I can get leverage. Like, Paul George grades out as one of my best plays. Paul George is my number 5 overall play today. So yes, that's hard to get away from. I understand that. And right now I'm going down the list, and Victor Oladipo's my number 21 play today, right? That's a big difference, 16-guy difference there in terms of my overall ratings on Patreon down below. Linking it into the description now, the way to get over to Patreon and check out the optimizer and all those tools. But that is a pain point that you have to manage. You have to actually look at the logistics. Oh, Paul George is triple the ownership of Oladipo. There's only a 1.5 point difference. Yes, Oladipo's more expensive. Maybe that's why he's not picking up that ownership. That's a spot where I can get different. And I think they're not even really risks, in my opinion. They're not that much of a risk when that's how big the gap is. In a field of less than 10 people, is Cat needed? He's not needed. No, there's so many guys in that 9 and 8K range that none of them are needed. There's not one guy who's 100% needed in that range. I'll pull up Minnesota's minutes projections. You can see what I have on Cat today. I have Cat playing 33 minutes on the back-to-back against Cantor, who we just dominated yesterday. Could you share one of your favorite single entry lineups? Says Gambit. No, I don't even have any ready. I have none ready right now. So once I'm off this stream, I have a bunch of rules that I have in a PDF, and I'll import them, and I'll get my single entry basically from that. I'll kind of look at something I'll hand build and then go from. But I don't even have a single lineup ready for single entry 3 max. I have them reserved, but I don't have one ready yet. But I have ideas. I'm going to pull something up. So the sponsor of the show right now is, we've been talking about them in some of the videos because I've been able to talk with them a little bit more detailed and get more context, new leadership there and things like that, some of the visions that they have. And Prize Picks has been pretty cool talking to Jordan, the rep over there. Potentially going to be getting even more in-depth stuff coming this next week. And from in-depth stuff, that means just benefit for the community in terms of some more potential things. Can't talk about yet, but even more benefit from all of you. So Prize Picks is basically, it's similar to some other games in the industry, but the reason why I think it sets itself apart is you just have a lot more opportunity for fantasy point over-unders. So you can take the over-under on fantasy points now, not just like player props and things like that. And they have so many. Like ready, I'm about to scroll. Look at how many guys you can have the over-under on their fantasy points today. Like this is a lot. I'm not even going to count it, but I assume it's 30, 40. Probably somewhere around there. So we took some guys earlier in the video this morning, and now even more players have opened up since then. And Jimmy Butler, if you got him earlier today, he opened at 48. We wanted the over on that. We took it on the stream this morning. Now he's at 51. 51's a stay away for me. So if you got it at 48, congrats to you, right? You have guys that are popping off like a Goran Dragic. The thing you should do is the second if Tyler Hero gets ruled out, go get yourself some Goran Dragic. Take the over on that one, right? Clint Capella, probably a no bet for me at that point. A guy like Victor Oladipo. Right now I'm looking at this. He's going to be an over for me. So let's just build something quickly. If you want to use it, you want to follow along with this, you can use the code SAL. It's linked in the description below. Just that code SAL, S-A-L. The benefit that you get by using that code is you get a money match up to $100. So if you put $50 in, immediately you'll get $50. You put $100 in, immediately you get $100. You just want to put the minimum in, which I think is 20, you'll get 20 right away. So you can double your bankroll right away. So a lot of their numbers, because we're going closer to lock, now you kind of have to get your edge by, there's some nice numbers still out there, like this Oladipo number, but you're going to mainly get your edge by getting some injury news to go in your favor. And speaking of injury news, let me just update what we have going on right here. So we have Capella ruled out. Trey is going to be in. So Capella's ruled out as of 44 seconds ago. Everybody, I know people are going to start flooding the chat. So Trey is in. Clint Capella is out. So with Clint Capella out right now, Onika is also out. So you're going to be having, oh boy, we're going to be getting some value now. And this could be a spot. This could be a spot to now go get Trey Young, right? So right now, if you're watching this and you're watching this live, go get Trey Young's over 47. We're going to place this on here live right now. Let's see what else we can take advantage of. So I assume right now what you're going to be getting, John Collins at center. So John Collins, do we have a John Collins number? This is like the perfect timing for this to be happening. We have a John I'm not kidding right now. Go over here. I mean, you don't have to. I'm going to be doing this. John Collins is at 31 fantasy points right now. We have to take this before this ends. So let's end up placing this. We'll take the over on Collins. Any other guys from Atlanta that we can take advantage of? All right, so this ended up happening just spur of the moment. But, all right, we're going to take the over on Trey Young, the over on John Collins, and we're going to be parlaying those together. The flex play. So only one of them has to hit, by the way. Only one of them has to hit for you to get any type of money back. You get half your money back if one hits, and you get 2 extra money if they both hit. So that's actually the benefit. It's not just like a straight-up parlay. It's not if one hits, you lose everything. Oh, we need to get at least 2 players from 2 different teams. Oh, they try to get us there. Okay, so let's just go. Let's also add in the over on Enes Kanter then. We'll do that. So we'll get the 3 of them. So we have a 3-way bet now. So we just took John Collins. John Collins is at 31 points right now on Prize Picks. So the link is right now in the description. I'll even throw it into the chat right now. But he's at 31 fantasy points. Once I update this for Clint Capella being out, Collins is going to project out for like 40 fantasy points for me. That's going to be by far the best number. That number is not going to be there for that much longer. I just put the link into the chat. That'll take you over to Twitter, and then you can sign up there. Capella is out, it seems. Capella out. Do you like John? What app is that black and gold interface? Yeah, so the app, I just put the link in Hamil, I believe it is, Hamil. I just put the link. It's Prize Picks. You can just take the over-under on player props, but also fantasy points. So we just got that breaking news. Literally, as I was talking about it, it was like perfect timing. This is how late in the day you can take advantage of sites that have fantasy point projections. We just get locked in over 31 fantasy points on John Collins. This projection on John Collins in probably about 10 to 15 minutes is going to be like 37, 38 points. So there's no better time right now to go and get yourself this. So obviously you can take the under on Clint Capella, but he's going to be ruled out, so that's not going to count. They're going to avoid that one, right? So you can't. People might be saying, "Sal, take the under in the 40. He's going to be out." Yeah, of course, but they're going to avoid that one, right? John Collins a yes now in Superdraft. Yes, John Collins is a yes everywhere in the industry now. I'm going to be updating the projections for all you patrons out there. We still have 43 minutes or so, but John Collins is now a yes everywhere in the industry. Trae Young being in, thank God. I mean, this would have just blown this whole slate to bits today if Trae Young was not in. But John Collins will now be a yes everywhere in the industry. Expect ownership to come in on him, but expect him to be one of my priorities at this point. Sal, do you like Anthony Edwards? Yes. Goran Dragic's thoughts. Right now, it's just kind of a meh play. He's in a player pool, not really an interest. If Tyler Hero's out, it'll bump him a little bit. Also, love the flex and power options on Prize Picks. 10x feels really good when you win. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't usually do those ones. I don't usually parlay that many guys together. But I like the idea. I like the idea of the flex, right? Like if people know what a parlay is, you have to make two bets and you have to get them both to hit for you to win, but you win more money. But if you only win on one of them, you lose the whole entire bet. The nice thing about Prize Picks is if you place two player props, like if we take the over on John Collins and the over on Oladipo, and Oladipo doesn't hit, it's a blowout, right? Doesn't hit. I like the over on both of those, by the way. You see Oladipo at 42 points, 31 points for Collins. But if only John Collins hits, you don't lose your entire bet. You only lose half of your entry, which is it's nice. You get like a nice little buffer in there as a floor. And obviously the upside is you can 2x. Your thoughts on Cat? Yeah, Cat's fantastic today. Early on, I'm getting a lot of ownership towards Karl Anthony Towns, like 40%. At the center position. Is Randall worth a dart throw even with Ross back in? Not for me. Nope, not for me. Low production player. Now another guy who's going to be high minutes, high production. Like Randall's minutes are cut into and his usage. So not for me by any means as of right now. I'll be updating this stuff for Clint Capella momentarily, by the way, for all the people on Patreon, and we can kind of discuss it on stream right here as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, do those things if you're still tuning in right now. I appreciate you a ton. We got that Justin Thomas bet. We've now won 4 to the last 6 golf tournaments. I don't know how. By the skin of our teeth. In some of these. Cool. Let us update the projections now for all of you people out there. So Trae is going to be clearly looking like a more secure play. Like Clint Capella being out, we can look at add more funds. So this is the site that I like to use for on-off tools. I've spoken with Matt in all different forms, in DMs, on Twitter Spaces, and things like that. I think he has a very cool product over here. So if we want to pull up Atlanta, we can actually look live right here what happens once you take Clint Capella off this court for this team. So Clint Capella is a 1.3 fantasy point per minute producer, 1.33 to be exact. John Collins with Clint Capella not out averages 1.05 fantasy points per minute. John Collins with Clint Capella off the court, 1.21 fantasy points per minute, right? 26% usage. The rebounding rate goes up to 23% right here. Yeah. It's John Collins season. Trae Young goes from 1.36 to 1.53 fantasy points per minute. Yeah. These guys are going to be very, very good today. Trae Young now projecting out for me. I'm updating this on my end. I'll continue to answer the questions, but just bear with us as we update some of the stuff on my end. Trae Young now projecting out for me for over 50 fantasy points. He's now a yes on Bolt Superdraft. He's a yes and an over candidate on Prize Picks, as long as it's obviously 50 or less points. And then John Collins is now projecting out as a very good play. So John Collins' updated projection for me is going to be coming on Patreon, but he is now projecting out for 37.4 points. He's a yes on Superdraft as well for me. Do not sleep on Mr. Danilo Gallinari. I have Danilo Gallinari now projecting out for 32.6 points. He is also a yes, and he becomes one of my favorite, if not my favorite overall Superdraft play at a 1.8x multiplier. Just insane. I used the 4-man My Prize Picks with Trae Young, Collins, Lowry, and Powell. 10x on $100. Let's get it. Hey, Aiden, is that the first time you ever played, Aiden? Yeah, let me know if anybody else signed up. Right now, you can use the link in the description. But man, the advantages that you're going to be getting, go get John Collins. This 31 points. I currently have John Collins projecting out for close to 38 points right now. I wish Gallinari was an option as well. I have Trae for over 50 points. I don't think Gallo is an option, no. So yeah, go take advantage of this. This doesn't happen all that often. Especially the second that you're talking about that type of stuff, it's so funny. Nothing else is really standing out, I guess you can say. Nothing else is really standing out all that much. Like Tony Snell, if you want to get his like 18 points that he'll score today, it's not really something that I'm looking for. But nothing else is going to be standing out. It's mainly the studs, right? Gallo, John Collins, and Trae Young. Probably in that order. I know Collins, Gallo, and Trae Young in that order just because of the pricing. Is where I'm probably going to be looking to a lot today. We would have had a Rondo season. We were pretty close to Rondo season today. I'm updating right now on the optimizer, the new projections. So the optimizer's projections are now up and they are new, and we're updating for all of you lovely patrons out there. If you want to sign up for Patreon, support the community, you got the optimizer, all those things, the projections that just went out. The big value is you get, I update projections. I literally take my laptop to the bar, into lobsters, into a hiking resort when I went hiking. I take it there so that I can update projections because that is the value prop one of the value props that we have on Patreon. So let's just say Capella out. Interesting that Capella's ruled out. He's been questionable a couple of times this year, and then he just plays through it. It never seems to be a big thing. So I didn't think anything of the questionable tag when I saw it, but that was a quick turnaround. They changed Collins to 34 already. Should I still do it? I would still do it personally. I've Collins for transparency, 37.4 points. That's a big enough gap for me to still take the over. Could you imagine? I hope you got that 31 that I just got. Man, we're going to have to do these live streams closer to lock more often so we can literally just pick off these props. I think that's the way that I should start sharing with the community, like a big benefit of this. Obviously, the benefit is you get like your first deposit, a lot of money back. You get inadequate lines, but that line was nuts. That line was literally 31 points. Capella's out, and I'm sitting here with a minute or two. It probably took 5 or 10 minutes for it to move. And man, we just got a 31 for a guy who's projecting out for 37.5 points. Crazy. That's like if Jimmy Butler's over-under right now is like 44 points. When was the last time Jimmy Butler in a game where he actually plays minutes scored 44 points? Trey's still questionable on DK. Trey's probable. Don't ever look at the DraftKings stuff. It's so delayed, whoever they use. So you can see Gallinari usage rate goes up. DraftKings points per minute. This is kind of a smaller sample that he's been out there. In terms of when there's no Capella at all, Gallinari is going to play a lot more 4 now today with John Collins at the 5, so you can't really truly see what happens at the rebounding rate. It does come up though. But yeah, John Collins, Gallo, and Trae Young in that order now, priorities for me from this team. Not really going to play any Tony Snell, to be completely transparent with you. Thad Young or Kelly O at power forward. Kelly O will be a third of the ownership, so I'll take him. Any news on Hero? He's just still questionable. Unicorn says Capella. He's out. Capella is out. Sato, Valentine, or Aminu today. I'll take. So Sato and Valentine are both projecting out for me for like 19 fantasy points. Sato just happens to be 2 to 3 times more owned. So I'll take. So here's the deal. Pulling up Chicago's minutes, you'll see the minutes different, right? I have Satoransky today projected for 24 minutes, and I have Denzel Valentine for 22 minutes. So you're going to be seeing, I would say, and honestly, Satoransky, you put him at 25, whatever it is, it's going to be all pretty similar. Satoransky has the safer floor, right? I think they both have similar ceilings, in my opinion, between Denzel Valentine and because of his production. Denzel Valentine averages like 0.9 something fantasy points per minute. Satoransky so far in the year is averaging like 0.8, right? So if you are already different, there's so much that needs to be put into this. But if you're already different in another spot in your lineup, play Satoransky. If you need to get different in your lineup, play Valentine. Can you rank Cat, Butler, and Trae Young for yourself? Yes, I can. Good question, by the way. So on DraftKings, I assume this question is related to. My rankings right now would be Cat, Trae Young, and Butler in that order. And it's Cat and Trae Young pretty close. And then not a big gap, but a decent jump off. Right now, Cat is my 9th overall play on the slate. And that the reason why he's dropped so much is because guys like, you've got like the shitty value like Tomas Satoransky, Denzel Valentine. They're not yeses for me, but guys like Gallinari and John Collins just jumped him. But Cat is my number 9 play. Trae Young's my number. Am I doing this math right? Yeah. Trae Young is my number 11 play, and Butler is now my number 15 play. So all pretty strong plays. Capella, Collins, Hoarder says Unicorn Love. What do you mean? What do you mean, my man? Is Dame going to be under-owned today? Is Damian Lillard going to be under-owned today? I would say yes. Is he going to be low owned? No. Is he going to be 22% owned today? Yes. And is that under owned? I would say, yeah. Yeah. Especially now with this new Trae Young news, it'll probably even go lower. Hey, Sal, how have you been? I've been well, my man. Who's your favorite guard on Super Draft today? My highest projected guard is Colin Sexton. Actually, that might have just changed. Let's see. No, it's still Colin Sexton. Is Trae Young higher? Yeah, so my highest projected guard is Colin Sexton, but a lot of guys are so close up there. Like, none of them are above the rest. Like, I wouldn't say Colin Sexton is you got to play him today. No. Colin Sexton, Lowry, Trae Young, Lillard, Terrence Ross, Michael Carter-Williams. Those guys alone, not even getting into, like, the Victor Oladipo tier and Anthony Edwards. Like, those guys alone right there are all very similar plays to me. You're playing Gallo today? I expect to probably get some of him. I haven't built a single entry lineup yet, but Gallo is currently my number one super draft play, so I'm definitely playing him there. Gallo on DraftKings is currently my number 6 play. The only issue with Gallo is he's not like the cheapest play. So when you play him, you have to consciously know that you're not going to be able to get to some other options, right? Like, he's kind of in this range where he's by himself, though, outside of John Collins, right? Cantor's a little bit more expensive, $1,000 more. So, yeah, I'm going to be playing Gallo. I don't know about single entry yet. I'm definitely playing, I would say right now, Kevin Porter Jr. and John Collins are the priorities for me in single entry on DraftKings, and then going from there. Young or Gallo, I'll go with Gallo there. Trey and Trent or Lowry and Thad Young? That's a really good question. I'll go Lowry and Thad Young. Young or Gallo? Gallo. Young or Marketing? Young. Terrence Ross on FanDuel, GPP. I don't play FanDuel, to be honest with you, my man. I'll pull up Orlando's minutes today. What is his price on FanDuel? He's in play on DraftKings for me. He's not a priority over there, though, unless he's cheaper on FanDuel proportionally. Are all Cavs forwards X'd out for you? Are all Cavs forwards X'd out? What do you mean by X'd out? Like not playing them? So for me, Cleveland right now, yeah. I mean, like the guys between Larry Nance, yeah. Colin Sexton's like the only guy from the Cavs that I have interest in today. I wouldn't hate you if you got the Garland, but that price point's a little bit steep for who else is on this slate. So yeah, I'm not playing Nance. I'm not playing Love. Do you like Otto Porter? No. Do you think Larry Nance is a good play? No. If Kevin Love gets ruled out, yeah, but otherwise, no. What about Moses Brown? Him projected as well. Scary. What about Moses Brown? Who has him projected well? You have him projecting out well? I can't tell. I assume that's a joke, right? I've got Moses Brown for 0 minutes. Is he on the 6:30 game? Is that what it is? Wait, hold on. Yeah, Moses Brown was what, the 6:30 game for OKC, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing that slate. Was that 6:30 or was that the afternoon game? Either way, I'm like looking at my back end stuff right now. Yeah, if I gave Mr. Moses Brown 24 minutes today, he'd grade as by far the number one play at 3,100. In 24 minutes, he would grade out for 28 fantasy points and change. So yeah, you should probably play him. But I'm not playing that slate. I don't even know if it already started. He already played. All right, there you go. Who's a lock for GPP tonight other than Porter Jr.? A lock for GPP. John Collins and Porter look really strong now. Collins, assuming he starts at the 5. Young or Lillard today? Lillard. Do you think Ingram is a solid player? No. I would say solid, no. I would say he's okay. He played in the afternoon slate. There we go. Nice. Martin Jr. minutes still safe with Nwaba in. I mean, yeah, Nwaba played in the last game off the bench. Martin Jr.'s minutes are not safe, by the way. Using Martin Jr. in safe minutes in the same sentence, all that is not the case. No. He is not a safe play today. He's coming off the bench, and he's relying on closing run to get him to his minutes. But Nwaba played in the last game. Do I feel confident in Martin Jr.'s minutes? No. Like, I'm not playing him in single entry. I'm playing him in 3 max. If I get him in the optimizer, maybe we'll get to some of him. Let's see. I got like 20% Martin in a 20 max. So 20% Martin in a 20 max, what is that? He came out in like 4 lineups. But that's the crunch before we just changed the stuff. Let's do one more crunch on the optimizer. And then I got to go actually enter my single entry lineups with 30 minutes to go. Let's do one more crunch now that we have the the new fellas, if you will. The new fellas from Atlanta are going to be popping up a little bit more now. So let's just do one more crunch. We'll set the max from the same team to 3, and then we could add some specific rules afterwards. Any news on Hero yet? Not as of the last time I checked moments ago. Moses Brown put up 24 fantasy points this afternoon. There we go. In my back end stuff, I just projected him for 24 minutes. How many minutes did he play? Sal, do you like Boucher or John Collins on Superdraft? Thanks. John Collins. Mike and Carl Williams tonight? Not as much. Cantor or Collins tonight? If I had to pick one, I would go with Collins now. Vooch a good play since his price has dropped? He's okay when you factor in ownership. Thunder already played, correct. Who's the lock for GPP? Look, the afternoon slates, I couldn't tell you a damn thing about them. I know sometimes the teams that play because I'm looking at the injury reports, like the Sixers and like the Thunder, right? Couldn't tell you a damn thing about them because I don't play them, the 2-game slates or anything like that. Coppola starting, give you interest? No, he started like the last 2 games. Sal, who has more upside on these prices on DraftKings? Norman Powell, Anthony Edwards, or Terrence Ross? More upside? Norman Powell. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to bounce. I'll check one more time the the injuries right now we have. Noab is playing. Culver out as he was expected to be. There we go. All right, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll have another video tomorrow morning, some golf content tomorrow, and then another live stream tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. East Coast time. Maybe we'll even start at 5. So be sure to like, subscribe, do those things. Sign up for Prize Picks. Take advantage of when these types of things start to break and all this news starts to break. I appreciate the 200 of you in here right now. Thank you for tuning into this video. You can check out the stuff that we have to offer on Patreon down below. And yeah, hope you all have a great rest of your day. Hope you all best of luck on this slate. 28 minutes until lock. So thank you so much for tuning in. Butler or Young, $88 entry, DK, $12.91 people. Yeah, I'm going to go with, I'll go with Butler still there. I really like Trae Young. I really like, but I'll still, Trae Young's projecting out better for me now with this John Collins news, but I'll still go Butler there, just assuming the ownership. Somebody says none is starting. Yalf. Yep, golf tomorrow. All right, everybody. None has been starting, by the way. If you're saying like he's starting over Tyler Hero, that has been the case. Tyler Hero has been coming off the bench now for about the last 5 to 6 to 7 games. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, so for a spontaneous stream, not bad. Having over 200 people in here, not bad. Getting, hopefully some of you got to take advantage of that Prize Picks. Just, I mean, insane price that we got on John Collins. That was awesome stuff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you all a ton. I'll see you all in the next one tomorrow. Fucking dance moves. See my happy feet on Twitter yesterday? Pretty fucking cool. Alrighty, peace out.